This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Over 10 years ago, I made a prediction series about Mario Kart 9, and 6 years after that, I made an updated one. And today, we're gonna do this one more time. Although, something feels kinda off. We're so back. Now that we've finally gotten actual footage of the next Mario Kart, let's do one more final prediction video on what on earth this game could end up being. Based on the 10 seconds of gameplay we got, we really only know a few things. There's going to be 24 racers per track, the characters have all gotten cartoonier redesigns, and Route 66 is some sort of racetrack. Maybe a little too big for a single track, but we'll get to that in a second. From the characters that we've spotted, it doesn't appear that this is going to be a Nintendo Kart kind of game. This has been theorized to happen for years, in which Mario Kart basically turns into the Smash Bros. Of racers, but I don't think that's going to happen this time. Every character that's been spotted all came from the Mario universe, so I kind of doubt that we're going to be seeing any sort of Nintendo Kart. Now, of course, Nintendo may have just hidden a bunch of these characters from us, that's very possible, but for a first impression, you'd think that they would have actually shown, like, I don't know, Kirby, Sonic, just literally anyone else. I think what they really wanted us to take away was how many characters can be on a track at once, and just the track itself. This Route 66/Radiator Springs track is extremely perplexing. Clearly, it looks too big to be just a regular track, and a lot of this is just one straight line. But at the same time, all these racers are zooming down it all at once. So what the heck is going on here? And even more confusing is this item that's in front of the entrance to some sort of Yoshi restaurant. What the heck is that? And why is it shaped like a bag? Why is it rainbow and glowing? After sitting on this for a while, I think there's really only one conclusion. What Nintendo showed us just might be a sneak peek of Mario Kart 10's Adventure Mode. I mean, just look at the scope of the track. They purposefully zoomed the camera out so we could see it. It's huge! Why does a single track need to be that big? Well, that's because this might be a hub world where we're supposed to go around and complete missions. And frankly, this was kind of my original first thought, but I was hesitant to say anything because, well, why would there be a bunch of racers on the track instead of just one person? That's when paying more attention to the mysterious bag got me thinking. Why is this bag glowing and sticking out so much compared to everything else? It's a mission. The idea is to run into this rainbow bag in this world, and a menu pops up showing you what the mission is. Now, if you ask me, that makes a lot more sense than it just being some random item. Again, look at how vast the level is. It is freaking huge. There's splitting roads all over the place. Could it be possible that there's more of these glowing bags out there and we just can't see them? This theory even explains all the racers on the track too. What we might be witnessing is a mission where the goal is to get first place in a certain segment of this hub world. We've seen this concept in several racing games in the past, most notably Burnout Paradise, since that's an open world racing game where you drive around and complete a bunch of different missions. Now, is this a good direction for the Mario Kart franchise to take? That I honestly don't know, because Mario Kart has always excelled at being one of the most pick-up-and-play video games of all time. Everyone I know of all ages can play a game of Mario Kart, because it's purposefully designed to be understood and enjoyed by everyone. However, my theory and what we're looking at potentially is a bit more complicated. So I just don't know if I can fully commit to the theory that this is actually an open world or hub world or something. But I do think it's possible. It's fun to think about. In fact, I've even thought of a little story of what might be going on back here. Now, knowing Nintendo, I did make the plot as simple as possible. The entire world is very dry, empty, but still somewhat resembles the Mushroom Kingdom. In the background, you can see these massive dried up rocks that are shaped like a typical mushroom. But what if they used to be real mushrooms and have just been zapped away their life? My idea for the entire plot is to restore this world and basically bring it back to life. Maybe some new villain took away all the water or resources or something like that. And our goal is to slowly bring back chunks of this open world by completing missions. And by the end, you restore the entire world, and that's how you beat the adventure mode. In terms of what the missions could be, well, there's a lot of options. In fact, we can pull a lot of ideas from Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Tour, as both of those games have missions as well. Drive through numbered gates, collect coins or item boxes, complete a bunch of drifts, crash through wooden crates, land hits with a green shell, race bosses, and there could be many variants of all these ideas. And this is just stuff that comes from Mario Kart DS and Tour. These missions could take place in this open world area, but also just on normal tracks, because, well, there's really no reason they can't do both, right? Bosses in particular would be fascinating. I've always enjoyed bosses in racing games because they're so unique to the experience. I always think back to Racing the Dinosaur in Diddy Kong Racing, or Ripperoo from Crash Team Racing. There are an endless amount of ways that Nintendo could make boss races in Mario Kart 10, and they've already done this in the past, and just think this was a long time ago. Imagine what they could do now. There's so many different Mario enemies out there, just an infinite amount of possibilities. I mean, even with just Mario Kart DS, we got bosses like the Big Bully, iRock, Goomboss, King Boo, King Bob-omb, Chief Chili, and Wiggler. And hey, look, they don't even have to go this crazy for an adventure mode. They really don't. They could literally just follow the same path that Diddy Kong Racing and Crash Team Racing took. All those games do is have the player explore a hub world, complete races from the normal tracks, and do an occasional boss battle. The races in those games would vary a bit too. One instance you're just trying to get first, while another you have to find and collect silver coins. Now, as I'm saying all of this, it honestly might be too good to be true. What we're looking at here really could just be one track. I mean, it does say Mario Bros. Circuit, so hey, maybe it is just a track, and I'm just suffering from copium over here. But at the same time, this is Nintendo, and we do know that Nintendo does try to innovate with all their games. That is basically their motto. So I'm very curious to see if my prediction is completely off the rails, or if I'm spot on. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Ah, the retro tracks. Back in the day, Nintendo would purposefully pick stuff that had never been remade before, and that was basically how they went along with Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart Wii. But nowadays, they don't care. They pretty much just pick whatever they feel like, and that's that. And frankly, I think we're gonna get way more than 16 retro tracks. After seeing the Booster Course Pass be such a big hit, I would not be shocked if Mario Kart 10 gets some sort of season pass that lasts for half a decade, and it adds in new characters, skins for characters, and extra tracks from the past. But I do think with the game simply launching, they'll follow the same formula. 16 new tracks, 16 retro. So screw it, it's time to make some guesses. This time, I've made my selection purely on vibes, but I have tried to have a somewhat even distribution from each game. The only exception to that rule is Mario Kart 8, as the previous Mario Karts always tend to have a little more focus on the previous iteration. Figure 8 Circuit. It's the most basic Mario Kart track of all time. You go in a figure 8 over and over again. It really doesn't get more starter course than this, and it's still surprising that this wasn't a track in Mario Kart 8 for obvious reasons. Moo Moo Farm. People love Moo Moo Meadows, but can we see the return of the original cow course? They could even change it up by letting the cows escape through the gate on the last lap or something. And I really want to hear a remix of the music. Water Park. You got a theme park that's encased in water. It was the first track that really showcases how interesting the anti-gravity can get. This track is weaving around all over the place, surrounded by roller coasters and Ferris wheels. Toad's Factory. I have no idea what Toad is making in the factory. I guess he's making item boxes or something. But this has always been a stellar track with lots of moving parts and great music. Shy Guy Falls. Why, yes, it's the one with the Shy Guys going wow, wow. And by the way, you also ride up literal waterfalls. This track is still so cool, and assuming anti-gravity is coming back, it would be a fantastic pick for a retro track. When I think of Mario Kart 8, this is one of the first tracks that comes to mind. Mario Circuit. While this one was remade in Mario Kart Wii, it hasn't gotten a more modern recreation yet. It's very likely we'll see some sort of Mario Circuit from the older games, and I've always liked this one. Vanilla Lake 1. While Mario Kart Tour recreated this track, it's kind of shocking this has never gotten a remake. I still think it'd be awesome to see this track get transformed and include an underwater section underneath the ice, just like with Double Dash's Sherbet Land in Mario Kart 8. Woohoo Loop, a track that takes place in one of the most iconic locations in Nintendo history. Woohoo Loop or even Maka Woohoo should come back. While I prefer Maka Woohoo, I think Woohoo Loop has a better shot just because it shows off more Woohoo Island. Sunshine Airport. This is yet another classic one. You drive through an airport, head outside to baggage, and even drive through an airplane. and despite how innovative it is, it's one of the best flowing tracks out there. Airship Fortress. Driving through an airship inspired by Super Mario Bros. 3. It's still one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time. It's gotten a remake in Mario Kart 7 and Tour, but that's it. It could really use a proper beefed up upgrade. Piranha Plant Pipeline. Out of all the tour tracks that didn't come over to the Booster Course Pass, this was the one that never made it. So I'd honestly be shocked if it isn't included just for preservation's sake. And it's an interesting track too that revolves entirely around driving through massive pipes and constantly change color. Yoshi Desert. I haven't picked any desert courses yet, so why not Yoshi Desert? It's been remade in Mario Kart Tour, it's got a huge Yoshi Sphinx, and there's an oasis. I think a lot could be done with this one. It's one of the few remaining Super Circuit tracks that could get a crazy transformation. Wario Coliseum. It's criminal that this track has never gotten a remake. It takes the idea of Wario Stadium to the next level. It's a course that ups the challenge and has you flying through tons of turns and twists. Big Blue. For the final cup, it only makes sense to go out with a bang for the Mario Kart 8 selection. Big Blue is still one of the craziest tracks that we've seen in Mario Kart. You're constantly boosting, the pink panels give you coins emulating F-Zero's boost panels, you got your water rushing sections, there's a guy that goes, "Yeah, the final lap from F-Zero X, ah!" Bowser's Castle. One of the most underrated Bowser Castle tracks. It may not be anything too mind-boggling, but I've always thought it was a really fun track with a couple of neat sections like trying to stay on that rotating log. This really could be any of the Bowser Castle tracks, but I picked this one because it's never gotten a remake before. Rainbow Road. This is another one that's kind of a given. Every Mario Kart since 7 has recreated a Rainbow Road in release game order. So next on the list is Super Circuit, and I'd be curious to see how they'd evolve this one. I'm guessing it would somehow involve the jumpy sides. Maybe you'd be able to trick off these endlessly or something like that, who knows. Now, I should reiterate that these are just my baseline picks, as the odds of us getting more tracks than this is pretty damn high. In fact, we might even get a Squarespace Cup. Oh yes, of course! Squarespace is the best and most powerful place to create the slickest websites. New to Squarespace is the Fluid Engine, a next-generation design system that makes it even easier to make a website. There's also Squarespace extensions that connect your store to vetted third-party tools to extend functionality, and the analytics page makes it easy to see who's visiting your site and where people are coming from. I've updated my site this year and added a small blogging section, where I'll write a bit about any specific game I've played. This month, I've written about Resident Evil 4. So with that, go to squarespace.com/Nathaniel to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The link is in the description. With 24 characters per race, clearly there's going to be a lot of characters to pick from. At the bare minimum, we'll likely get every character from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I'm sure it'll be more than that. First off, I think all the characters that are just clones of each other are going to be grouped in as one thing now. The reason for this is because I believe that skins are going to be huge in Mario Kart 10, and it just doesn't make sense to make the roster have hundreds of characters. So just as an example, Mario could have a sub-menu for Tanuki Mario, Metal Mario, and Gold Mario, and Peach could have a sub-menu for Cat Peach, Peachette, and yes, even Pink Gold Peach. This alone leaves us with 42 unique characters right off the bat, but I could see Nintendo having a total of 60 characters for this game. And frankly, we don't need to look that hard for new characters, considering Mario Kart Tour already has so many options just right there for us. I believe that the Mario Kart Tour models are high enough to be able to be used in Mario Kart 10, with the only upgrade just needing to be higher resolution textures. So let's start predicting some characters, and we'll start off with Hammer Bro. These are some of the oldest enemies in the entire franchise, and it'd be awesome to see him make it in, as well as his variants like a Fire Bro, Ice Bro, Boomerang Bro, and heck, throw in the Sledge Bro, why not? Next up, Monty Mole. This little dude is playable in Mario Party, even Mario Superstar Baseball, so I really don't see why him and maybe even a variant of Rocky Wrench can't make it in too. Poochie would be a great pick as well, because who doesn't love puppies? He's already playable in Mario Kart Tour, and it would also be really cool to have a variant of Poochie as a yard version to reference Yoshi's Woolly World. Next up, we've got Nabbit. Now, this choice, I'm actually really surprised that it didn't happen in the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, considering he was one of the newer characters. He just kind of feels like the right pick, so I think he's going to be happening. King Bob-omb would also be sick. I could see him being in the same caliber as, say, Dry Bowser and Petey Piranha. And honestly, it would just be surreal to see King Bob-omb throwing Bob-ombs. Like, would he get upset or something when that's happening? I don't know. I want to find out. Next, I'm calling Chargin' Chuck. This is yet another classic Mario enemy that's also playable in Mario Kart Tour, and it would be really cool to see different variants of him, or at least maybe just like different trick poses where he's showing off a bunch of sports poses, like he's holding a football, throwing a baseball, whatever it might be. Now, Cappy would have made a lot of sense in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but it just never happened for some reason. Regardless, he'd be a really fun character to play as, so let's get Cappy in here as well, why not? And heck, throw in Tiara as a variant. Might as well, right? Now, next up, a Goomba. Let me tell you, I have been singing from the hills for years that Goomba should be playable in Mario Kart. How has it not happened yet? How has it not happened yet? He is literally the most iconic Mario enemy of all time. Get him in the game. What are we waiting for? He was driving in Super Mario Party on the tricycle minigame. Let's get him in already. What's taking so long, Nintendo? And of course, where the heck is Honey Queen? Now, yes, she was a very bizarre pick for Mario Kart 7. I used to not like her for some reason, but I have changed my ways, I have matured, and yes, let's bring her back. I want some weirdness in this Mario Kart roster, so get Honey Queen in there. And speaking of lost Mario Kart characters, let's bring back Rob from Mario Kart DS. I mean, okay, he's not really a Mario character technically, but he fits the bill. He had some really cool karts in the DS game. I think he's more than worthy of coming back. And that is all of my predictions for the more normal Mario-themed characters, but I do have a couple for the Donkey Kong universe as well as the Luigi universe. First up, Dixie Kong. This one is crazy. We've gotten Diddy Kong, we've gotten Funky Kong back. The three main Kongs are here. Where the heck is Dixie Kong? She was in DKC 2 and DKC 3. She is more than deserving of getting a slot as a character. And while we're at it, let's bring back Donkey Kong Jr. Why the hell not, right? Now, moving on to the Luigi universe, let's get EGAD in the game. He was apparently supposed to be in Mario Kart DS, but was replaced by Dry Bones, so EGAD missed out on that game. Let's give him the real chance. And hey, why not add in Polterpup, right? I think the chances of us getting Poochie's already pretty high, so we might as well also see Polterpup in the game too. He's a lovable little puppy. We love Polterpup. Everyone loves Polterpup. Let's make it happen. And that is all the ideas I have for the Mario line. However, I still think Nintendo has some characters up their sleeve that are non-Mario related that they're going to throw in just to spice things up a little bit. They're not going to dominate the Mario characters, obviously. They're still just side, but I think they're possible. First up, Pikachu. He's not just the most famous Pokemon of all time, but one of the most famous characters of all time. Now, of course, Game Freak is very strict with where they allow their Pokemon outside of Pokemon games, but this is Pikachu! This is about to be one of the biggest Mario Kart games, if not the biggest Mario Kart game of all time. Game Freak, get him in there. Just Pikachu. And also, throw in Captain Falcon already! What's taking you so long, Nintendo? You're making banger F-Zero tracks in Mario Kart 8, you got Captain Falcon as a Mii amiibo. What are we waiting for here? He is literally your other racing IP character. Please, let's get him in. I could also see Kirby being a real possibility. Because, I mean, you know, technically, Kirby Air Ride exists. That's a racing game. I guess that gives him a little more merit. But he's also just, you know, one of Nintendo's biggest IPs of all time. So, like, why not add in Kirby? Just for that reason. And finally, just stay with me for a second. It's going to be a little crazy. Sonic. Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog. For some reason, Nintendo and Sega are working together, and they're just going to add Sonic out of nowhere. No one even knows he exists. He's not teased at all. It just happens. Someone 100%s the game, and they're like, oh my god, I just unlocked Sonic. And by the way, he doesn't use a cart. He just runs. He just runs. And with that, we've got 60 unique characters. That alone is pretty impressive, but Nintendo has been working on this game for over a decade. I bet we're gonna have a ton of skins too. Just looking at Mario Kart Tour, so many of these characters have several outfits, and while I don't think Mario Kart 10 is gonna have as many as Tour, I could easily see most characters having color swaps or outfits. So I thought it'd be fun to pick out some characters and just predict what colors or outfits they may end up getting. Starting with Mario, we'll likely have Tanuki, Metal, and Gold Mario, but I could also see them adding Doctor, Fire, Ice, Builder, and Sunshine Mario. Moving on to Luigi, I could easily see Guigi, Penguin, Lederhosen, Golf, Kitsune, Doctor, Green Bronze, and Chef Luigi. Now, Peach has a huge abundance of outfits, but I'll just be picking 7 that they might add in. These could be Peachette, Cat, Pink Gold, Biker, Wintertime, Wedding, and Sword Fighter Peach. Now, frankly, I don't think that every character is going to have 9 skins or 9 colors just because it's not really necessary, but I do think it is very possible that some of them are going to have up to 9. It might just be 2 or 3 or 4 for some characters, but for the most common ones, I would expect a lot of unlockable skins. As for the skins that come from Mario Kart Tour, there's a few others that I just want to highlight and see implemented just because they're really cool. First off, Yoshi Reindeer. It's just adorable. Look how happy he is. And how about the free-running Koopas from Mario Odyssey? I mean, that would be neat to see. You don't even have to add all the colors, just throw in a couple of them and that's good enough. But wait, what about the Pit Crew outfit for Toad? Again, you don't have to throw in all the different colors, just a few of them would be perfectly fine. And what about Cowgirl Pauline? It's a pretty slick looking outfit. Why not use it for more than just a mobile game? And dude, Bus Driver Waluigi. Who doesn't want Bus Driver Waluigi? Yeah, you're lying. You saying you don't want him? You're lying. And I haven't even gotten to the Mii costumes yet. I really don't need to, because there is an incredible amount of potential with just Mii costumes. They could legit add like 100 Mii costumes from Amiibo alone. Now, you may be asking me, oh gee golly boy, that sure is a lot of characters and skins. Wouldn't that be overwhelming? Well, yeah, maybe it would. But see, this is where the supposed adventure mode would come into play. Let's say the game starts you with like half the roster and no skins. As you play through the single player and complete missions, you start to collect coins. You can save up these coins as a way to purchase the new costumes and characters, so that way you have a goal to eventually unlock everything in a more meaningful manner. And if you don't have any amiibo, well, you can also buy those costumes through this shop too. So all in all, I do have pretty high expectations when it comes to the characters in this game. After seeing how wild Mario Kart Tour got, I think people will be pleasantly surprised at the amount of options we're going to have this time. Mario Kart is well known for its items, and I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy this time. If anything, the focus should just be on re-implementing old mechanics that people miss, and maybe even adding in old items. Like special items. It would be really nice to see all the characters get special items again, just like in Double Dash and Tour. And how about this as an idea? The ability to upgrade items. Let's say with a green shell, you manage to get 300 green shell hits. Well, after achieving that, you can upgrade the green shell so you'll throw 2 green shells at once. This upgrading mechanic has already been done in Mario Kart Tour, so I could see it potentially happening to some degree in Mario Kart 10. And also, real quick, let's just talk about the damn coins. Can we please get the coins out of the item box selection just entirely? No one wants to get coins, or at the very least, can they at least spawn way less frequently? As for the items that should return, well, I'd like to see the Giant Banana, Bowser Shell, Mega Mushroom, Heart, Yoshi/Birdo Egg, and Super Leaf. This isn't every item from the previous Mario Kart games. I don't think everyone needs to be in here necessarily, but these are fan favorites that have been missed for a while and would be nice to see come back. As for new items, well, I don't really need to think of any new ideas. And that's because Mario Kart Tour has once again blessed us with plenty of options. I could see the Ice Flower, Coin Box, Dash Ring, and Hammer all making an appearance. Or at the very least, just a couple of those coming in. Mario Kart Tour has way more items than I brought up. Like, it's got a bunch of cannons for like mushrooms and bombs and stuff. It even has Dr. Mario's pill and the Super Bell. There's so many weird items in that game. But the ones that I've selected seem the most likely, considering they all have unique functionality compared to what's already there. I have a feeling that the vehicle system is gonna change quite a bit in this game. Based on the little snippet that we saw, Rosalina was driving some sort of snowmobile, so I don't really see there being an option to pick our tires anymore. In fact, it looks similar to the Snow Skimmer from Mario Kart Tour. So what this probably means is that vehicles will no longer need to be modified. In fact, that's how it was in Mario Kart Tour, and I know I keep bringing that game up, but I can see that being the implementation for this game too. Now, Tour has hundreds and hundreds of karts and gliders that they'll likely pull from that game, but I also think Nintendo has made some new ones and more creative ones just because they don't have to worry about tires and they can get really creative now. I don't know about you, but battle mode has been kind of lame ever since Mario Kart Wii. And that's all because of the damn timer. If anything changes in this mode, then all I really ask this time is for the option to turn off the timer. I also think there should be a way to play with fewer players. Something I recently realized is that with 12 players throwing items all over the map, it becomes way too chaotic and just feels random if you win or not. That wasn't the case with Mario Kart 64, Double Dash, or even DS. Around 4 to 8 players gives everyone a higher degree of control, and it's much easier to develop a strategy to survive. So all I'm asking for is an option to pick between any number of players we want. I mean, just thinking about battle mode with 24 characters sounds miserable. Seriously, it'll be total luck if you even make it to top 8. Now, I don't think we'll get a lot of battle courses in this game. My guess is, say, maybe 6 new ones and 6 retro ones. For the retro stuff, I'm gonna guess Block 4 from Mario Kart 64. I've been wanting to see this damn track get a modern remake for so long, and it only ever happened in Mario Kart DS. It's still the best one if you ask me. Now for a wild card, I think GBA Battle Course 2 could get in. We've only ever had one GBA course, and I think it's a good idea to get a bit of representation from that game, as it's one of the least played multiplayer Mario Kart games of all time. Next up, Pipe Plaza from Double Dash. This track is still incredible. Shooting out of the pipes to warp you from the top and bottom, it's a blast and a great way to throw off players. Then we've got Palm Shore from Mario Kart DS. The water rises up and down to force racers to slow down sometimes. It's a pretty skill-based track. While it was remade in Mario Kart 7, it would be worth re-exploring for Mario Kart 10 because it's such a unique concept. Then we've got Funky Stadium from Mario Kart Wii. This is probably the only battle track I like from that game because it's filled with trick ramps and is a ton of fun to drive around. And it just worked well with 12 racers due to its massive size. And finally, we've got Lunar Colony from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm always a sucker for the space themes, and this one has low gravity and changes the entire feel of the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one get remade. I will admit, I haven't played a lot of online in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but I do know that the main issue that persists is just the lag. The gameplay is very laggy overall. And I think a lot of that really just comes down to the online infrastructure that the Switch has, so I'm guessing that this game at the very least is going to smooth that out a little bit. It's also been really nice that they've added in the ability to make your own tournaments and also be able to search for them through codes or just whatever is active. I'm hoping all that continues, and maybe we'll be able to search up a username to make it a bit easier to find somebody hosting a tourney. Aside from that, I already think online is pretty good. I could also see a possibility of getting weekly missions to unlock extra coins or something, that is if there's not an adventure mode, or heck, maybe there will be a proper ranked mode similar to what Smash Bros has. And finally, let's talk about the best part of Mario Kart, the options menu. I've got a few ideas here that could be pretty easily added. It wouldn't take a lot of effort to do, but it would greatly enhance the game overall. First off, playlists. I would love to be able to make a playlist of tracks to race on. Of course, you can kind of already do this in versus mode by selecting any track you want, but it would be really nice to make a playlist of tracks that you and your friends really enjoy playing over and over. Second, the ability to have alternative music. At the bare minimum, I'd like to see the retro tracks include their original music, and be able to switch between the old and new. We've seen this option in Mario Party Superstars, Super Mario RPG, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So frankly, I'd be a little surprised if this isn't included, given how newer Mario games have been going. Now, of course, I want to see the item selection screen return again, being able to pick whatever you want to be on and off. I think that's amazing that they even did that to begin with. The only thing that I could really think of them updating or tweaking here is just the likelihood of certain items spawning. So let's say you move your cursor to the green shell, you push Y or X, and then it opens a submenu where you can pick between normal, frantic, and light. This could make for some really hilarious races and just completely destroy any balance the game had before. And there you have it, my absolutely hopium-filled prediction video about Mario Kart 10. It's been over a decade since we've gotten a brand new console Mario Kart, so I'm really hoping that at the bare minimum they just have a couple of things that I predicted to really change things up, because the game is really starting to get kind of boring, so I hope that they have something new and cool for Mario Kart 10. But with all that said, thank you all for watching, and I'll be back very soon.